Rogers TV Durham would like to acknowledge that we are on the treaty and traditional territory of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation of the Mississauga Nation. May we respectfully honor the knowledge and understanding of the Indigenous stewards of these ancestral lands and ensure that the voices of the First Peoples are represented in our collections, programs, and services.
The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers nor Rogers TV.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
And welcome to another edition of Talk Politics. Our guest this week is Whitby Mayor Elizabeth Roy. Great to see you again. How was your summer? Busy summer.
It went by fast. It was busy. It went by fast. I got some opportunity to do some downtime in that, but overall, we spent a lot of time here at the town hall doing working on projects throughout the summertime.
Yeah, I was going to say not much downtime. Let's start with the conversion of Sunnycrest Nursing Home into a homeless shelter. Has become very controversial.
Yeah.
First off, let's start at the beginning. When was the facility purchased by Durham Region, and did Whitby have any say in this?
So it was officially purchased. The closing date was August 3rd. And the presentation for consideration for our whole homelessness and housing strategy, which is a 10-year strategy, the proposition for looking at whether it was a lease or a purchase for the Sunnycrest, so now known as 1635 site, that came in the June time period for the regional council meeting. And as we know, this is a regional project, and on that council we have 5 members of Whitby Council who do sit on the regional council, and that was our input into the purchase of it. Now, the programming, and this is one thing that needs to be made clear, is that we are in the engagement process. So we actually have 3 projects taking place right now: the Beaverton project, the Ritson Road project, and also 1635. And the Beaverton project started approximately 2 years ago, and it's in the process of being built at this time. And community consultation had taken place as they started proceeding forward with it. We will be seeing that the regional, so we had the meeting on August 30th, which was the first meeting. There was actually 2 meetings that day. In the afternoon was the stakeholders, those who are interested in being partnered with the region, of whether it's supporting through employment services or looking at how, as a church organization, that they could be volunteers within it. Other agencies that may potentially actually have some space in this facility to give the supports of what's called wraparound services. To place individuals into a situation of just putting them into a shelter or into a housing, and it's a low barrier housing initiative that this is, that you still need to have the medical, the mental health. You need to have employment services. You also need to have in place of how they can transition out of there. But and it's going to be a phased approach. So there's still a lot of opportunity for ourselves as a community, as Whitby, to be a part of this consultation. I've called for a special town hall meeting for Whitby to take place on October 10th, and more details will come out on that as to how that will unfold. And the region of Durham will be doing presentation on what they have heard and seen to date as to what some of the programming can be. I don't disagree with what the community is feeling right now. And I think that one of the things that needs to be identified is they have a right to be concerned. They have a right to be heard. but they also have the right to have proper information in front of them, as all of us do. And for many of us around the Whitby Council table and the regional council table and staff members, the answers aren't there yet. And it's not just on this project. It's also on the Ritson Road project, and it's also on the Beaverton project. And Beaverton project obviously is much further along. But as for the project for Whitby, we do need to give full attention to what is the phased out, what does it look like with the 45 members of our community that will be in this facility, and but also knowing that what the vision of many is that homelessness is one where it's the worst case scenario. And I want to make sure that that look is not one where the security of our community is impacted. The local businesses that are situated beside are not impacted as well too. And we've shared our, like after the 30th meeting, the August 30th meeting of the community, myself and our CAO came together, and we sent a letter over to the CAO of the region and to Chair Henry, sharing exactly what we're feeling and what we want to see in place in order to make sure we can have this as a good neighbor side by side and not have an impact into our community.
I guess the biggest question the public was asking is, why was there no public consultation prior to the purchase?
Well, and that's it though with the real estate deal. For any real estate deal, the consultation for that facility or for any facility is one that for the purchase, you don't get that opportunity because it's a private real estate deal. We could have started with the consultation, but then the real estate deal would not have gone through. But the other part is that we know that through the years and with the homelessness, like the housing plan that has been put into place by the region of Durham, that's a 10-year plan, and that did start with sharing of the information out to the community. So it's a strategy, no different than we have strategies for other areas within, like even within the town of Whitby. But I want to keep pushing back on this because this is, with it being a regional project, like we need to give that identification that the ownership of this is back to the region. And community consultation and engagement is happening now. It won't be tomorrow that what they have said is about the 45 individuals that will be going into the facility. It won't be ready in October. It may not even be ready in November or December. The time frame is not known yet because they don't know what they are going to be doing with the abatement of the facility yet.
So you had a public consultation session, yourself and Councillor Malia Shahid. It was rather heated.
Very heated.
Yeah, the headlines in the local press even alluded to the fact that you and Councillor Shahid were threatened. Tell us about that whole experience.
So, there was aggression. There was clear aggression, and a resident of the community. For myself, I don't know the full specifics for Councillor Shahid, but when I had come into the facility, the aggression already started. But as I proceeded up into, because it was on the second floor of the Centennial building, this gentleman cornered me and started yelling at me. And I clearly, just because of height wise, I was much taller than him. And it's like, you're not doing this. This is not the place to do this. You're not yelling at me. And I had to put my hand between. The security guard came right away and staff members were around me at that point in time. And I know that it was similar for Councillor Shahid and had taken place outside, and the security guard had to come and help her as well too. You know, the whole situation of that public consultation, again, it comes back to what was understood as to what the meeting was going to be. And as there were so many individuals within this one room, it became very heated, and it was unfortunate that not more sharing of information could have taken place. And I know even now, I think there's a little bit more calmer a sense of just that conversation. You know, that we've had many emails come in, but also a lot of calls and just talking about the details. But it's unfortunate that even the headline became that, because it shouldn't have been that. And it was overheard, the conversation between Councillor Shahid and I as to what had taken place, because she was by the end of the night, she was very upset. And it became the headline, and it should never have been the headline. It should have been about the situation at hand.
So with so many concerns over, I guess there's safety, property values, is this project a fait accompli? I mean, do Whitby residents ultimately have any say in what goes in there?
I believe they do. I believe 100% they do. And I believe that even as a neighboring community beside, it's like talking about that security and knowing what security looks like, 24-hour security. Who do you call when there may be a situation that may take place? But it's having those full conversations with the community members who are directly close. And I know that even to the north of their community members have reached out as well too. But knowing that maybe it is just 45 residents that will be in there, and then the remainder of the facility could be partnering with like mental health. We could be partnering with one of our agencies, like our health agencies. We know that there's a need and a requirement for seniors come out of hospital, transition of programming and of housing for them as well too. So somewhat like a respite facility as well too. I think that as we come to, there's going to be an announcement of an October 3rd meeting by the region for the community to come back together. There is going to be also members at that night of August 30th also had the opportunity to sign up to be part of the community advisory group as well too, which is I know a fair number of residents, and I had encouraged residents to sign up, and even now I'm forwarding names. That's going to be taking place in the next little while, where they're actually going to be scheduling this meeting. And right online with at the Durham Region website, they also have that you can put your input in. You can also get updates on the facts and the Q&As as they're hearing through our communications team at the region, as they're hearing more questions and consistency of questions, that they are putting the answers up so that there is a continuous sharing of that information back. So I do believe, like, not only just about the residents surrounding the area, but the residents as a whole of all of Whitby have input, but also so does the residents in the neighboring communities have the same type of input to this.
Okay, and on that, I'm going to stop you there. We are in conversation with Whitby Mayor Elizabeth Roy. More to come on Talk Politics after this.
If you're facing Alzheimer's disease or dementia, you don't have to do it alone. There are people and resources that can help, and we'll connect you to them. Alzheimer's Society of Ontario. Our connections matter.
Wanna see them dancing.
You can't live in that world unless you become a human yourself.
I don't know.
Life's full of tough choices, isn't it? You belong to
me. You're watching Rogers TV.
And welcome back to Talk Politics. Our guest this week is Whitby Mayor Elizabeth Roy. When we went to break, we of course were talking about the plans for a homeless shelter at 1635 Dundas. But more than that, let's talk about the overall issue across Durham. And Whitby is not immune with not only homelessness, but need, and as we were talking about during the break, so many people being one paycheck, away from disaster.
Yeah. One of the things when I first came on as mayor, and it's almost a year now that having been mayor, we were dealing with a warming shelter that was situated beside the library and the increased need and usage of that warming shelter. And that was open from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. And it was 30 capacity for 30 to be inside of there. And we were getting to a point where that capacity was just growing and growing and growing. And it became clear and evident as to what was happening around within our community. But then we also, like with the encampments that we're seeing across our community right now, there's probably about 16 encampments that are located in many different places and ravines and that. I had the opportunity to go with representatives of our Durham Regional Police team who do go to visit the encampments, and they took me out one afternoon and took a tour. It's very sad that we're seeing this, and we're also seeing and hearing from our food banks. And I just recently was reached out by one of our food banks, and they were commenting about in the past month. In the past month, it has increased by 111 families.
Wow.
And this is where we consider Whitby to be such an affluent community. And this is members of our community who they have a job, they are living within a home, and they're still utilizing the food banks. And the need and the request of our food banks is growing. We have what's called the Mayor's Development Community Fund. And this is monies that is raised to give support to different agencies and non-for-profits for different requests. It's a committee that makes the decision on how the disbursement of the money is allocated out. We've supported a lunch program that serves and supports our seniors of our community and the homeless, and they go to St. Mark's Church. We have supported Feed the Need, where we're going to be looking at a new program called the Marketplace. They have this down at their facility down south in Oshawa. Mm-hmm. And what it is, it's about bringing decency and giving the ability for individuals to walk in. It's set up like a marketplace, and you choose your food, and you are able to choose what you would eat for dietary needs, and that, and not just be given a box where some of it could actually be not used. And we're going to be sorting that, and we're hoping that it will be taking place in the beginning of 2024. We're trying to find a space for this to happen. It'll be one day a week. At the beginning of my term, I also had a roundtable discussion with the food banks, and it was quite alarming just to hear the stories of what they're hearing from residents from our community. And this is residents who are residing in a place, and how they're making the choice between paying that heating bill or choosing to have food. It's great work what our food banks are doing, but the one is that we're hearing on a regular basis that the need and the support of having food on their shelves to be able to support our community is a growing need. It's quite concerning. We're also seeing that where we've had to put into place an encampment strategy. So how do we deal with encampments that are in our parks? Especially when you're having municipal uses of different facilities and moving them along, because I don't know if you are familiar, but with some areas, and Barrie was one of the most recent ones where they were looking at moving encampments, and it became a human rights issue. If you don't have shelter in place, you can't push along residents, individuals who are residing in these encampments unless you have a place to give the support. We've also have created here in Whitby a homeless task force, and this is in conjunction with the region of Durham Regional Police. We have our bylaw involved, but we also have some of our senior staff who are out there. So it's like our grass cutters and also our operations. They know where these where many homeless are situated. So it's like, how do we work together to make sure we're getting homeless off the streets in conjunction with working with the region of Durham with their social services? And it's all about looking at the working together at a strategy to help to ensure that our most vulnerable in our community are being supported.
I also want to get an update. Your monthly mayor's newsletter was also talking about Durham's first family shelter that Whitby is working in conjunction with the region on a family shelter on Colburn.
Yeah, so we have on Colburn, we have a house that is there that was originally utilized for a tech company that was a startup, and it's been vacated, and the region is right now changing it up and doing some renovations to it. It will support 4 families. We're finding that we have many families who are living in hotels, motels around our community. This is another partnership where the families will be able to, the kids will be able to go to the local school, and again, that transitional housing to be able to find a way to help them with the means of moving forward and moving into hopefully their own housing at some point in time.
Okay, let's move on to the community strategic plan. A lot of community input came your way when you put the call out. Where are we on that, and what were you hearing from the public?
So we finalized that in June. We commenced it at the beginning of 2023. And when we first started and going out to the community, and first what I did is right after the election, I met with all council members and asked them questions about what are your priorities? What did you hear? What would you like to see move forward during this term of council? We then took that information and we brought it into a collective group where we had senior staff together and facilitated where we went out to the community. It was interesting how close we were to what the community was asking for. They wanted attention to our waterfronts. They love that we have such open green space. Physician recruitment, hospital, healthcare was a huge priority on this as well. And it's brought together in June that we have a document that's well over 2,000 residents of this community gave input into it, and businesses as well. And we didn't have to go like pushing out there to get the input. It was coming in like very fast, and we appreciate what was brought in, and we will be doing on a yearly basis a update as to where we're at. And one of the ones was also for the new sports complex, which on Thursday, September 14th, we will actually be putting the shovels in the ground to a sports complex that, again, same thing. We have well over 3,000 residents of this community helped to design this project, and it will be a very diverse offering of facilities from the pickleball. We heard a lot about pickleball. Unfortunately, the site did not allow for a cricket pitch, but we are working on looking at where we can bring cricket pitch into place. But this facility will be finished by hopefully the end of 2024 into 2025. And that as our community is growing, that we will have a state-of-the-art sports facility, recreational facility, outdoor facility, because it's outdoor as well too, that our community can be a part of and partake in.
Wow, 2,000 people just gave their input. Did that surprise you?
It did, actually. It did, just especially because for the number of strategies and the number of outreach that we have done on different projects, to get the feedback we got online, in person, it was amazing to see the reach out from the community to be a part of that. And even following up on that too, as we finalized it, we heard a lot more from the residents of the community. We like what we see. We like what is in front of us about the community strategic plan. And the hopes is it's like we need to celebrate as we move along with each strategy that is implemented and put into place.
We're rapidly running out of time. I also want to ask you about your Mayor's Gala.
Yes. So Mayor's Gala was this past weekend, and I have to say that my 2 co-chairs, when they first approached, asked if they could help to organize the gala. I just said, I want people to have an experience. I want to celebrate our community, and I want to be able to obviously from the Mayor's Gala. It's supports to our Mayor's Development Community Fund. I'm pleased to say we raised $140,000, which will end up going back into our community. But we held it at the waterfront and we held it on the pier. We brought a tent in and we started out the evening with a reception over in it's our old pump house, and our pump house is right now in a pop-up brewery with Town Brewery, and we started there. We had the Highland Piper Band come down as well too, and they piped us over and they played a little bit for the attendees. We had just over 200 attendees, and because with being in a tent we were somewhat restricted. I will say the one thing over the days of this being set up, and I was down at the waterfront as the tent was being set up, the number of residents who stopped to talk to me about, it's great to see what we're doing down at the waterfront. It's great to understand and to know what that we actually have this Mayor's Development Community Fund. There was a lot of conversation about what we're doing at the town and with the Mayor's Development Community Funds, that our hopes to have much more success for the next one to come. And I know that we will be featuring another part of our town, and so I'm hoping it's our downtown that we will be featuring next year. I know that our BIA is very excited about being a part of it for next year as well.
Okay, we've got about another minute. I wanted to ask you about looking back on this year, your first year in office. What are you most proud of?
I'm going to say that what I'm most proud of is the fact that the community strategic plan, I'm very, very proud of. I'm very proud of because it is, it's given clear direction, but it's also given us the understanding of like what our community wants, but that we are in line with our community. And to give that framework and to work with that, it is one that just, it's like when we're talking about physician recruitment, well, we've put into place, we have physician recruitment. We're working with the new medical facility that's coming into Whitby, and we are going to different universities to talk to the medical schools. And it's like that's one component of it, the sports complex. We're talking about homelessness and the support for that. We're talking about our waterfront. It has really given us a great opportunity to build on what our community wants.
Okay, and on that, I have to stop you there. We are out of time. Whitby Mayor Elizabeth Roy, thank you so much for spending time with us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Until next time, I'm Debra Hutchison. Thanks for watching.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
My dad was a railway porter. It was just about the only job a black man could get. But he had big plans for us. Music would be our ticket out of poverty. I knew we couldn't afford that piano, so I practiced twice as hard.
Nice, Daisy. Okay, Oscar, let's hear it.
Turns out, I wasn't half bad. Then I found jazz, or it found me. It wasn't all easy, though. I faced a lot of hate, but I found my stage. They call me the man with four hands. Well, I don't know about that, but let's see how far this ticket takes me.
From Montreal to Carnegie Hall and far beyond, Oscar Peterson became one of the most recorded and celebrated jazz musicians of all time.
We can be hurt. We can be bruised. We can be broken. Slowed down, confused, and even numbed. But we can't be defeated.